to Transcendental Transformation, the place where spirituality and transformation unite. Host Miss Raina imparts truth so that you can break through your limiting beliefs and evolve into a deeper consciousness. As you go about your day, remember, before every breakthrough, there is a breakdown. And now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Transcendental Transformation. I'm your host, Miss Raina, and today is Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. As always, we're coming live from the Sirius Star System studios right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I hope all is well with everybody. So, some good news really quick. We're on 4 new platforms now, as well as all the other platforms. We are now a part of Daily Motion, so if you guys want to go check us out, we're on dailymotion.com/transcendental transformation, and we are now on library.tv. And the reason why I'm so excited to be on Library as well is because it's a free platform. I love being on YouTube and everything and that, but YouTube tends to restrict content, and sometimes our shows get flagged, and then I got to go through this whole process of everything, but of explaining why and who and what of what's going on with the show, and so Library allows a free platform, so they don't restrict your shows based on their rules and everything. So I'm really excited to be on that. We're also on Podboy and Podtail. If you're not familiar with those are up and coming new podcast platforms and everything. They're becoming really popular, and so it's just another way for us to get with you guys and everything. So as always, guys, remember that we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, LinkedIn, and now Daily Motion. And Caleb will be on on all those accounts, ready for your questions. If you guys want to throw in some questions for some live chat and everything, make sure you hit him up, and we will get to those questions live on air. As always, we're on replay on everything: Amazon, Spotify, Pandora, Stitch, you know the thing, and now Podtail and Podboy. So I am excited, and Library. So I am so excited about that. So let's get into tonight's show, because we got a lot to cover, and it's going to be one of those shows that possibly will go into a 2-part series. I don't know. I'm going to see how much I can get to cover this hour, but I want to talk about intention, because a lot of us, this is a big topic for a lot of people, and it's been really popularized over the many years and everything, and people always ask me about it. I get tons of emails constantly about people who, how do I create, how do I do proper intention, how do I do all this stuff. So I figured, you know what, let me do a show on it, and maybe this will clarify a bunch of stuff. And there's a lot of information tonight. And you'll have to excuse me, I've had a little sore throat the last 2 days, so I'll be drinking tea throughout this whole thing. But yes, so let's get into intention. So intention is the idea of creating or manifesting. That's a basic term, basic concept. And so the reason why we do intention is because we want to create or manifest things that we do not have. And many of us think of it as an energy force, or maybe there's an energy or a force that's behind the creation, that creates the manifestation that allows us to create whatever it is we're missing in our life. And it's supposed to give us whatever we're missing. And a lot of times I look at people and I ask them questions, and I'll sit there and I'll say, you know what, I'll be like, okay, well, is that what we think intention is? Do we think it's just about us getting something that we're missing? Because a lot of times that's what we're taught to believe. If you go anywhere, I look on social media all the time, and there's a lot of people that that are constantly saying, oh, well, take my course and I'll teach you about intention and you can manifest all the money, all the stuff you want, the career, the cars, everything. And it always seems to be focused around a certain idea. But it's not just sitting around and setting an intention, because intentions are many forms. People don't realize that a form of intention is also known as magic. We don't ever cross the two, but yeah, absolutely. What's the difference between magic and intention? There is no difference, because it is. So if you are one of those that maybe have been conditioned to think that people who do magic and everything, you watch, especially nowadays, I've watched so many shows and movies with that witches are bad and all sorts of stuff and that, but we don't have an understanding of these concepts. And a lot of old civilizations used to use magic heavily, and that's just a form of intention. That's all intention is. You can nowadays you can call it prayer, or that is exactly what prayer is. Why do you pray? Most of you guys pray because you want something. You want something from your God. You want something from your angels or your spirit guides or whatever. And so you pray, right? That's intention. Please give me this. Please don't let this happen. That is intention. There's no difference between magic or prayer or whatever else you want to call it. The manifestation, there is no difference at all. And so we really have to shift our perspective when it comes to the idea of intention and really what it is, because it's been, like I said, it's been a popular topic in the recent decade, and everybody goes around, well, let's manifest and let's do all this manifestation. Let's get what we want. Let's create these chalkboards and these wish boards and do all these different things, and we have to look at it that way. And one of the reasons why this has become so popular is because it's about giving material items, and it's focused on that. I look at it and I really think that as a society we've lost our way as far as what intention is and how we create, because as beings that we are meant to be creators. We are meant to create with intention and thought and consciousness and all these different ideas. But because we've become so separated from who we are, we really focus on the material items. Well, I'm unhappy, so I need to be successful. I need to be popular. I need to be athletic. I need to have the big career. Everybody needs to know me as the big shot, because that's going to make me feel better. That's going to make me feel it's going to make me feel so important in this world that as long as I'm successful. And so that's what I'm going to manifest. And we really have lost our ways, because we think that all these material items, we think that all these material manifestations is going to resolve our unhappiness, because really isn't that what we're chasing? We're chasing to be happy. We think that being popular, we think that being cool. I mean, to be honest with you, do we ever really get out of grade school or high school? And the reason why I ask that is because if you care about how you look towards other, and I know a lot of you are going to say no, but many people do. But if you have to be cool around your friends and you have to act a certain way and say certain things and you can't speak up for yourself, well, then you're following that type of idea of trying to find happiness and external things that aren't there, instead of trying to figure out what it is you really want. And so you revolve yourself around materialism and relationships and all these ideas, career, and that, because the one thing that you're thinking that's going to bring you happiness is really not going to bring it to you. And so we focus that. We sit there and we associate. When I ask people what is manifestation, they always say, well, it's the intention to create the things we want. I say, well, what do you think it is? They say, well, if I want a car, I want that. And so it reinforces, and trust me, I've been talking to people with manifestation for many, many years. And one of the things that I always hear is that same thing. It's always focused around the materialism, and people have been taught and conditioned that that's what intention is. And so we have to really step back from that idea of what intention is, or what we think intention is, and really dig down and dive deep into what intention is. Because if we're limiting ourselves, if we're limiting our perspective of what intention truly is, well, then that's all we're going to ever be able to focus on, because we're never really going to be happy. I mean, I know most of you who watch this show, I know for a fact that a lot of you are moving away from materialism, but there's still sometimes when we're upset, we go shopping, we fix our hair, we do our nails, or for you guys, maybe you guys go out fishing, or maybe you guys go do something, go out to whatever. And so we try to satisfy our emotional unhappiness with something external. But intention can create so much in our life and can create so much more than we ever believe, but we have to learn to realize what it actually is. And I always say how lost we've gone with our intention and manifestation is similar to our holidays here in the United States of Thanksgiving, Yule, and Christmas, and Hanukkah, and all the rest, Kwanzaa. But the reason why I said those is because those are the main things. And so if we look at that, well, before you used to celebrate Thanksgiving for what? Thanksgiving and Yule and Christmas were family, right? It was about family. And it was about sharing time and being grateful for what you've had, and et cetera, et cetera. But now it's all about presents, right? It's all about gifts and what am I going to get? And what is Santa Claus going to bring me? Or Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Manic Monday, Tuesdays. I don't know what they call them anymore, to be honest with you. There's so many days. Now they're week-long sales. And it's just gotten chaotic. And again, we've lost our way because we're so conditioned to thinking that material items is going to bring us happiness. That on Christmas or Yule, that the more gifts we have, the better the holiday is. And Thanksgiving, yeah, that's great that we ate turkey, but man, I'm going to go to sleep early because we're going to sit outside from 2 o'clock in the morning all the way till the store opens, and then fight with everybody because we're trying to get all the material goods. And we really have to realize that because it takes away from the self-enjoyment in life. If I know a lot of people that constantly say, Miss Raina, I'm just not happy in life. I find life to be dull and boring. And I just don't see, no matter where I'm at, friendships don't make me happy, things don't make me, I'm just bored. And that is because we're circled around the wrong ideas. We're circled around all this ideas that the fame and popularity and looks and everything are going to get us. And trust me, I get you guys. I really do. Sometimes I have a hard time living here in the United States. I really do, because that's all it is. Every time I flick on social media or anything, all I see is nothing but, like, even YouTube and everything, all I see is ads and trying to sell you stuff. And it's just become just business. The United States is nothing more than a business now. There's no country. There's no holidays anymore. There's no nothing. And with Samhain coming up, that's the only holiday that I really celebrate. The rest of them, I mean, I'm not Catholic or Christian, so I don't celebrate any of those, and I'm not Jewish, so I don't celebrate those. But I never really was big on holidays because even as a child, yes, I mean, I enjoyed getting gifts, but I also knew that there was more. I was like, well, yeah, that's great that I got these things, but I really enjoyed watching my family and spending time with my family. And so and that's really what my intention was throughout my life. And of course, hey, I got some nice stuff, and there's nothing wrong with having nice stuff, especially if you work hard and getting this. But when our intention in life is focused on nothing but that, then we lose ourselves. And your body, your soul will tell you right away if you're really losing yourself, because when you start to feel blah and mundane, and you start to feel aggravated and short with your patience and just irritable all the time, it's because you're focused on ideas that aren't bringing you who you are, and that's yourself. You have to reevaluate this idea. You have to reevaluate who you are, what your intentions are in life. And I just don't mean, and by all means, when I'm talking about intentions, I'm not just talking about something sitting down and focus on intention. I'm talking about everyday intentions, where your focus is every single day of your life and every minute of everything, because that's really what's changing. So, what do we think that intention is versus what do we think, or what do we think it is? So, what is it actually versus what do we think it is? Well, like I said, we think that if we get something that's going to make us happy, the universe is just sitting around to give us whatever we want. It's just here for us. It's just here for our beck and call, and it's almost like our own personal genie, right? And we're just gonna snap our fingers, and the universe is going to give us. And Nira thinks I'm calling her, no, baby cakes. I'm not calling you and we're just gonna snap our fingers, and all of a sudden your wish is granted. Blink the eyes, and all of a sudden you're gonna get what you want. And the great thing about it is you don't have to work for it. No, you don't. You really don't have to work for it, because in America we are meant to. We are just chosen. Everything should be handed to us because we are so great and wonderful. And I'm not knocking my country. I love my country, but I'm not happy with where we have gone. And there's a difference between that. And any country, any place, anywhere in the world, if we feel that we are entitled, that a universe is just sitting around for us just to give us all the material items that we're meant to, that we want, that all we got to do is chalk it up on a wish board and put a picture on there, and we're going to have that G6 or that Ferrari or their Maserati or whatever, then hey, that sounds great. And this is not the way it is, because we've created this idea of entitlement. We have to release this ideal of entitlement. And I know that a lot of people, I'm sure that are already having a hard time maybe with this show, because right away it's like bam, but it's true. It is true. We are focused around entitlement. We are focused around that, and we have to get away, because there's no universe that's just sitting around saying, yes, master, yes, mistress, I'm here for you. Whatever you want, I command. It doesn't work that way. And actually, when we do this, when we think this, and we have all these people that say, oh yeah, well, I set this intention, and I created, and I put my car up there, and I did all these different things, and that, well, it may have been possible that they have created that because you are a creator, but at the same time, but they're not telling you everything else of that they've had to do to create it, or they're not telling you all the things that are coming along with that creation. Because if you think that all these things, the fancy house and all this stuff, is just going to make you happy and live happily ever after, it doesn't always work like that. So you have to let go of this desire within you to want to say, well, this equals this. In order for me to be happy, I have to have blank, blank, blank. Because if there's a universe there to serve you, and I don't have anything, I'm just going to put it up on a picture board, and boom, within 5 years, it's going to happen. One of the biggest things that I've had to deal with for probably the past 15 years is the book The Secret and the DVD. And even though it's 15 years old, this is still as popular today as it was 15 years ago. And why? Because the only secret about The Secret, in my opinion, is that The Secret is scamming you. They know that people are they know that people are looking for happiness. They know that people have been conditioned, and if they tell you that you can get stuff by watching their CD, this is how marketing goes in the world, and this is how a lot of things go. They tell you that they can give you something, but you got to buy that. Well, yeah, well, hey, I could create a CD too. Say, hey, guys, you know what? If you do this, you're going to buy this. I bet you I could sell $1 billion worth of stuff. But that's not my focus, because my focus isn't to deceive you. It's not to set you up to a materialistic world so that you buy all my stuff and then you don't follow through. And then, hey, well, it didn't work because you didn't follow through. And they're really just scamming you for money. And I had a hard time with that. I really did. And then just the message that The Secret had, and people that do this. I watch all the time on social media as people doing this kind of thing. And if we're a spiritual person and we have a spiritual business, there's nothing wrong with making money. There's nothing wrong with setting intention. There's nothing wrong with doing what you're doing. But when you're pushing an idea and you're preying on somebody to grab them because you want to make money off them, then we've lost the battle. And that type of intention that you're setting, that type of intention that you're creating for your world, is going to blow up in your face and just be chaotic, because that intention has false ideas behind it, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But you have to, one of the first things that we have to start looking at is we have to start looking at our realistic intentions. So what do I mean by that? Well, we have to understand how intention setting works, how to use it, and why. One of the biggest questions always is why? Why do we want to create this? Why do we need to have it? What is it in our soul or inside of us that we need, that our desire in order for us to have what we have and or want what we want? And that's what we have to look at. So if we don't understand how it works, how are you going to create properly? If you don't understand how to use it once you're creating it, well, then how is it going to manifest? If you don't understand why you want it, what do you think is going to happen? And so we have to look at that, and we have to start breaking that down, because one of the biggest things that you don't know what's happening right now is the reality is the life you're living right now is you're creating it. That's right. You're creating your life right now. You have been nothing but creation from your own consciousness. When you were on the other side, everything about your life was created by the thought of intent. Okay. So what does Miss Raina mean? Well, we're sitting over on the other side and we're thinking, okay, I need to incarnate. I need to be able to come back here, create a life, and I need to learn certain lessons. So what is it I want to learn? Who is it I want to be? Do I want to be male, female? Do I want to be gender fluid, non-binary, transgender? Do I want to be black, white, Asian, Hispanic? What do I want to be? Who do I want to be? Okay, now that I got that set, what is it, the lessons that I want to learn? So I got to pick my family. I got to do all. This is creation. This is intention. When we're on the other side, we're masters at intending, because over there, we can just think of something and it's created. And eventually through our evolution, not now, but eventually through our evolution, we will learn to create that here. All right, guys, we will be right back after these messages from I Am Evolution.
The human experience is changing, and consciousness is evolving into something higher than any of us could ever imagine. As we transform into more sentient beings, a new world of connected consciousness is taking place. Welcome to I Am Evolution, the movement in human development that transforms the human experience into a deeper consciousness through perspective and duality. Are you ready to be a part of the next stage in human evolution? Call I Am Evolution today to schedule your appointment at 561-318-0006. That's 561-318-0006. Or email us at iamevolution@protonmail.com.
All right, everybody, we are back. So yes, so the life that you're creating is your intention. And even over here, you are creating constantly. Every thought, I know for many of you, you understand already that your thoughts create your reality, right? We get that. You're intending every single day. You are manifesting every single day who you are, what you look like, what you're going through constantly. Of course, sure, you have those blueprints that there are certain things that are going to be laid out for you, and you have these, and you have to follow a certain protocol during certain parts of your life. But the rest, that free will that we called, you're creating. So if you want to beat yourself up and call yourself a loser or a nobody, or you're not worth it, or nobody likes me, I'm poor, I'm broke, I'm this, I'm that. Well, guess what you're going to be your whole life? That's right, that. And so this idea of intention, this manifestation, isn't just you put it up on a wish board and write it down and take pictures of fancy cars and fancy boats and everything. You are doing it every second of the day. So every time your heart, and it's not just changing it here, it's changing it here, because what you think and how you're creating is going to manifest in how you're, that's why your cells change, that's why your body changes. When someone who hates themselves or dislikes themselves or unhappy, you could see it in their face, and it's not just because they look sad or whatever. It's because their energy has literally transformed into that, because that is what they're radiating from inside. So every second of every day, you're actually creating intention. You're creating, you're manifesting your life and how you want it to be. Excuse me. So if you have all these ideas and you have all this stuff going on, and it's all towards putting yourself down or seeing limitations in your life, then that's your life. And unfortunately, until you decide to change that about you, there's no one that's going to be able to help you. I get people constantly that reach out to me and that I can't help. And I can't help them because where they're at, and that's part of the things when I do my interviews with people before they work with me, as I sit there and I say, well, I ask them certain questions because I want to see where they're at, but I kind of already know where they're at, usually within like 3 seconds of talking with them. And but I can tell because I ask them certain questions and I want to see how they answer, not what they answer, but how, because then that tells me where their intentions are. Are their intentions that they really want help, that they really want to change themselves, or are they just fooling themselves to say they're doing something in order for them to keep creating their life that they're there? And we have to realize that many of us in this world, we have been conditioned to think that a God in a universe has created us, but it's not true. And I know this is a hard topic for a lot of people, and a lot of people disagree with me, especially people who have been taught that somebody else is in control of us. But when you get to the other side, you will see that you had full control of your life and you created who you are and your family and your relationships and everything, because you are in charge of everything. And we are such a young species. And that's why we don't get that concept yet. That's why so many of us have a hard time grasping that, and they instantly reject that because we've been taught by religion and spirituality that there's a God out there, that they created us, or a universe, and they created us, and they're dictating us, but that's not true. We are the masters. We are the God. We are the universe. We are everything in there. And until you change that mindset, that's the difference between someone who's successful, and I don't mean money-wise, I mean in life, and someone who's not. Someone who relies on a God or universe to do them forward will never, ever, ever find success in their life. They may find money, they may be rich, they may have stuff, but they'll never find true success. And there is a big difference. But so when we change this reality of hey, you know what, this is amazing. I'm the one who created this. I'm the one who does this. Then all of a sudden the power becomes us. The power of who we are, it just instantly becomes who we are. And then all of a sudden our intentions, our creations start to manifest faster. It's the most amazing thing. How do you think I've been working with my heart? All of a sudden I'm like, you know what? I'm the creator of my universe. I did this to myself, and so now I'm going to get myself out. I don't feel sorry for myself. I don't expect someone to dip me out of this. I don't. I've been working hard on it. I've been doing things for it physically. I just don't sit there and meditating kumbaya all day long and all of a sudden poof, my health is all better. It doesn't work like that. We have to do things in order for our manifestations to work. It would be nice when we get to that point where we just think a thought and instantly it happens, because on the other side it does. But as we're here in this human flesh, it doesn't work like that, people, and we have to start learning. And so we have to look at ourselves and we have to say, well, our bodies may have forgotten about who we are, but that doesn't mean that we can't remember. Because yes, when we first incarnate here, we know that every one of us gets our mind wiped. And that's the reason why we become so conditionable. Because as children, we still have that connectivity over to the other side. And so children are creative and they manifest things without even knowing, until you parents tell them, because you've been brought up by religion and you've been told by your parents, or spirituality or whatever, or even nothing at all, but you've been told by your parents that no, you're not seeing anybody, it's an imaginary friend, no, don't do this, don't do that, that you've squandered your intentions. You've squandered the power of intention. And of course, your body has forgotten, your mind has forgotten that you're a creator. And as long as you've done that, all your intentions are nothing more than this. And that's why we have a hard time realizing our true power. That's why so many of us who are in that lost space as we do it, and there is because that's the reason why we take to religion and these ideas of gods and angels and spirit guides and we lean on them, and why we become so attached is because when our minds were wiped and then we've been conditioned, we're taught to rely on other things. You have no clue the power within you when you turn that intention of relying on an idea of a god or goddess or angels or spirit guides or a universe or the planet, the planetary alignments or whatever, into you. Because you don't need to pray. You don't need to practice magic. You don't need to do all these things. All you have to do is be it. And it's such a powerful experience that it's hard to explain until you truly understand it. And if some of you are saying, well, yeah, I've always manifested things and it's always come out wrong. Well, that's because, again, we don't know what we're doing. We're focused on these ideas. And so we have to first start looking at who we are. If you don't know who you are, your manifestations are going to come out all chaotic. And that's just the way it's going to be. You have to look at who you are. You have to start saying, okay, well, I want to manifest this stuff. I want to create this life. And I got to figure out, well, who I am to these ideas, if you understand. So if I want to manifest a life where I'm happy and I'm whole and I'm understanding and I'm open, well, then who am I right now? Because if I'm looking at these ideas, if I'm looking at these objects, then I'm telling myself I don't have these things. Well, do you or do you not? Is it an illusion that you don't have these things, or do you not really have these things? Well, if you're looking for happiness, well, happiness is just an absence, right? Because it's just an illusion. All these emotions are just an illusion. It depends on our perspective of how we see ourselves and how we feel about ourselves is whether or not we feel without in that. There's been times where I've made a lot of money doing a lot of good things and hey, great, I paid my bills. And there's been times where I've been eating ramen noodles every day for like 6 months and macaroni and cheese, and it didn't change whether or not I was happy or I saw myself as successful or not, because my intention of who I was and where I was at was focused on me, not what I had. Because hey, I have my iPhone, I have all this nice stuff, but if it all goes away tomorrow, does that mean I'm not successful? Does that mean that I'm without now? No, it doesn't. Because I still have me. And that's the greatest gift of all. So we have to look at, when we're setting an intention, we have to do association of who we are and what these objects and what these manifestations mean to us. Because deep down, it really all boils down to if we're happy, if we're loved, if we're accepted, and I know I probably sound like a broken record to many of you that watch this show, but it's true. We are always looking to be happy. We are always looking to be loved and accepted and be part of the crowd. But the fact is that you don't want to be part of the crowd. If your intention is to be part of the crowd and loved and accepted, well, then stop getting it from an outside source, because that's all trickery. That's all society telling you. We grew up, we had 17 magazine, YM, and all these other things, and they're constantly telling you that you have to look like this, and you have to think like this, and you have to have the perfect boyfriend, and nowadays it could be girlfriend. I don't read those magazines, but hopefully they're mixing in some LGBTQ stuff in there. But men, for men's magazines, they're showing these buff guys and, oh, I got to be a UFC fight, and they're tricking you into thinking that if you're not these things, then you're unhappy and you're not worth it and you're not accepted. And honestly, I'd rather be a loner. I'd rather be the type that somebody doesn't understand, because that means that I understand myself, that I'm not chasing these ideas. I don't need the material objects. I don't need to be the number one sports fan. I actually saw the other day, I was scrolling through Facebook, and I forgot what team it was, and it said, "Oh, well, if you're the number one Dodgers fan, you have to buy these to prove you're the only true Dodgers fan have these." And all these people are like, "Oh, how do I get it? How do I get it? Oh, I'm gonna get one." And like Dodgers, and I'm just thinking, wow, is that all it takes to so that someone is so without that the marketers and people who market you are manipulating you so easy because you're looking to be a part of something, because you have no idea of creation, you have no idea of intention, you have no idea of self, that they can say, well, if you're a true fan, if you're a true diehard fan, that you better have this or you're not one. And people jump at that. And that's the same thing that you have running in your mind. You are actually marketing yourself every single day. You are a constant salesperson to yourself. So what does the salesperson say to you? Does the salesperson say, well, hey, Miss Raina, in order for you to be liked, you have to talk like everybody. You have to believe what everyone believes. Forget the way you grew up. Forget what your guides have taught you. Forget what you know through all your lifetimes of things, but forget what you know. But in order to be loved, you have to fit in with people. You got to be the party girl. You got to be this, and you got to do that. My marketing says, you know what, Raina? Yeah, we love each other. We talk to each other. We have a great relationship with each other, and my sales team is on my side. It's not trying to sell me anything because I already have everything, and that's what we really have to do. We have to look, because in order for us to create a successful intention, we have to know what we want. If we don't know who we are, then we don't know what we want, because all we're chasing is those things. I don't know how many times I explain this to people, and still people say, I know, but then they go out there and then they have to buy things and chase relationships constantly. You have to realize that when you want to when you're creating intention, you're creating manifestation, whatever you call it, and that you have to know these ideas. You have to figure out, you have to have this projection of ideas of what is really going on and where you're really going with it. Because if you're just going to sit down and put some pictures up on a board, I've done that just to test that theory. I said, okay, let me do what people do here on Earth. Let me do what The Secret did. I popped up a board, a cork board, and I wrote "wish board" on it. And because I was trying to prove to my students something and a bunch of things, I said, okay, I'm going to do that. And I put some pictures of different things. I said, by this time, this is going to happen. And I sat back and I didn't do anything. Any of it. None of it still to this day came true. Why? Not because, hey, I do a lot of stuff for the universe. I do all this stuff for helping people. So why shouldn't I be rewarded? I should get this, right? Because I do all this stuff. So I should be rewarded because I'm just a good person, right? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And eventually I took the stuff down and I said, see, it never manifested. 5, 7, 10 years later, it never manifested because the intention was not there. It was just my intention that, hey, whatever happens, if it came into my life, great. If it didn't, it didn't. But I knew deep down it wasn't going to. And then some of you would be like, well, Miss Raina, if you knew deep down, then you probably manifested that, right? Well, absolutely, in a way, but in a way not, because I left myself, I already knew because of the outcome. I already knew how intentions work, that it wasn't going to happen. So yes, in there, but I left myself open enough to say, well, okay, well, if I'm wrong, and hey, I will admit when I'm wrong, if I'm wrong in this situation, then let it come to me, and I will try to figure out what happened. But it never did, because I just put pictures up there. I really didn't know what I wanted. I just put pictures just to put pictures up there, and to me it didn't matter. And so manifestation, you have to look at it and you have to break it down in that thing. It has to matter to you. For it to be true, for it to be successful, it has to matter to you. And that's the number one reason why your manifestations and your intentions and your creations don't work. Is because it really doesn't matter. You're just chasing false ideas. You're chasing empty cups. And what I mean by empty cups is, well, you can have 1,000 trophies, but they're just empty cups. They don't do anything for you. They don't do anything in your life. They sit there, they collect dust, and yeah, you look at them and you say, wow, those were great days, but after that, hey, what the heck, what, it doesn't matter. So you look at it like that. So when it comes to manifesting, the one thing that I want to say, okay, hold on. Nope. I thought that was a question, but no, it was just a text message. I thought I had turned off my text messages. But one of the things that people always ask me is, okay, well, Miss Raina, if I'm going to manifest and I'm going to create, I'm going to have these intentions set in, do I have to have anything special? Like, do I have to sit down during special times? Do I have to do reality of what we're doing? Like, is there a reality of what so we have to look at it like that. We have a question coming in, but I'll get to that in a second. I just want to finish my thought. So we have to look at that and we have to say, hey, well, okay, well, no, you don't really have to sit down for a special. It doesn't have to be a ritual. You don't have to light incense and candles and all this stuff. It's as simple as just taking a moment, closing your eyes, or even just doing yourself. Like I've ridden around when I used to be able to ride my bike and do all these different things. I used to be able to meditate while I was riding my bike and create because my intention is there. All right, so there is a question. It's Angel. Hi, Angel. How are you? I'm glad you joined us. Always good to see you. And how do I figure out who I am? As far as intentions or just in general? Because we are talking about intention. So, who I am. Okay, so let's tie it into intention. Say like we don't know who we are and we're trying to manifest these ideas like love and happiness, or try to figure out who we are. The first thing we have to do is remove ourselves from everything else. And what do I mean by that? Is we have to back away from our friends, we have to back away from social medias, we have to back away from TV and our thought processes, because all these things are surrounding us by our who we are. And so we attach ourselves to these ideas of, I need to be this, I need to do this, I need to follow this in order to be who I am. So if we're trying to create an intention to figure out who I am, then the first thing we have to do is cut all the ties to everything that we're associated with. If we hold on to those ties, we can't see clearly, because in order for us to figure out who we are, we have to start back at point zero. If you're ever in medicine, or if you're ever in detective work or anything, they always go back to, okay, well, in order to figure something out, where do I got to start? We got to start from this place it starts. And so you are the place you start. So figure out, after we disconnect from everything, what we're going to focus on, we're going to, in love and balance and happiness, we're just going to ask ourselves some questions. We're going to focus on questions of where you're at the moment. What is it that you're actually feeling in that moment? Not what you're looking for, but what you're feeling. Because who I am is really a feeling. It's not an answer up here. That's why so many people can't get it right, is because they're thinking, okay, who am I? Who am I? Well, I like this, I like that, I like this. Well, you can't create from up here. This is just the projector. This is where creation comes from. So if I'm trying to figure out who I am as far as creating and manifesting really who I am, well, then I have to feel who I am. And I have to stop being all these expectations, because really that's all we're really filled with. And that's why we're chasing this idea of love and balance and happiness and all these different things. So, I mean, I could go on with that question forever, and that's such an excellent question, Angel. Thank you so much for asking. But yeah, that's such a detailed question to respond to. But such a great question as always. But yeah, so we have to look at these intentions, and that's really how we do it. We have to remove ourselves. And so if we're trying to manifest love, well, manifest it in yourself first. Manifest self-love before romantic love or before friendship. Or if you want to, I don't believe in balance, because balance means that everything is homeostatic, and that there's nothing that teeters you this way or that way. But that's not life, people. That is not life. If you really want balance, then balance in real terms would mean that when you go up, you ride with the train. When you go down, you ride with the train, and you learn to work in harmony with with your body, with your cycles, with your rhythms, with your moods, with your expressions. If you can't work in those patterns, if you can't do that, then you can't manifest and you can't find out who you am. You won't find love. You won't find happiness because you're rejecting. One of the hardest things that people have a hard to get is they're always trying to find that balance, right? We reject one thing. We're always like, oh, I want to be positive, and I don't want to be I don't want to deal with the negative. Well, in order for us to be whole, we have to use both, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back after these messages from I Am Evolution.
The human experience is changing, and consciousness is evolving into something higher than any of us could ever imagine. As we transform into more sentient beings, a new world of connected consciousness is taking place. Welcome to I Am Evolution, the movement in human development that transforms the human experience into a deeper consciousness through perspective and duality. Are you ready to be a part of the next stage in human evolution? Call I Am Evolution today to schedule your appointment at 561-318-0006. That's 561-318-0006. Or email us at iamevolution@protonmail.com.
All right, we are back for the last part of it. This time has gone by so fast. I seriously, every time I do a show, I feel like the time gets shorter and shorter and shorter. But yeah, so being a balanced life is just an illusion. There is no balance. That doesn't mean everything's kumbaya all the time, that you have no emotion, that, excuse me, I still have that cough. But in order for us to live a happy life, we never have to be angry or upset. No, that doesn't mean. When I tell people that, and I don't like the word imbalance. I hate using it. But if I have to say that, if I have to tell people, well, I'm balanced because, and they say, well, Miss Raina, but you still have your moods. You still go through. Of course. What do you think? We're human. We're human. We're going to go through things. As long as we're here, we're going to go through things. We're going to have these up and downs. That's part of life. And that's what we would call balance. Like I said, I have to go with the times I'm feeling down, which are very rare, but they still dip a little bit. I can't be up here all the time. Gee, I would feel like I was on drugs all the time if I was all the way up here and being all the time out. I'd be bug-eyed. And who'd want to be that? There are times, and I do that even throughout my day. There are times where I go and I work really hard and I'm up and I'm doing stuff. And then I sit down for a couple hours and I relax. And then I go through, and sometimes I do that throughout the day. I'll do an hour or two worth of work, and then I go in there and I sit down for 30 minutes, half hour. And I know not everyone has that luxury, but even if you are at work and do stuff, you still have to take time to bring yourself down and allow yourself to go and detach from everything. And so if we're sitting there and we're saying, well, the true idea of being balanced is that you're okay with yourself. It's not being not miserable or not upset or never depressed or never angry. It's that you're okay with who you are and you're allowing these experiences to be true. You have to have these experiences. You have to go things to grow. If you were enlightened and you knew it all, you wouldn't be here. There would be no reason. But so many of us fool ourselves because we're so afraid that somebody's gonna know that I don't know everything, and so I gotta feel like I gotta make sure that everyone thinks I'm better than you and more enlightened. And this is nonsense. The people that push that are actually more out of balance, if you want to say it. They're further from it, because the people that constantly have to push themselves as the all-knowing beings that know everything, you go on these social media things and they're just always laughing at people and always saying, oh yeah, no, I've experienced that, and they've experienced everything under the sun. Well, that doesn't make it. So these experiences are false. And we have to be able to understand that. We have to be able to move that. If your intention is love, like I said, well, then stop trying to create outside love. Your intention should always be within first. If I'm sad and lonely, well, then that's because I'm sad and lonely inside. And I have this perception that my life is without, because especially us girls, we're taught from a very young age, you better have a man, you better find a man, and he's got to treat you right and pay for everything and raise you. And I'm just like, I remember those things. I don't know if you girls remember, but do you remember in kindergarten and grade school when you had the paper folding and then you'd open it up and you go out one way and you do like 1, 2, 3, and then you'd open it up, you'd pick a number. And then it would open up and say, you're going to marry this and you're going to have this. And it always revolved around, you're going to marry this guy and have millions of dollars. And that's conditioning. You are being taught by these games that you are supposed to have these things. And those feelings your intention should be to let go of those feelings, because that's really what we're chasing. I haven't had a relationship in 20 years. I am perfectly happy, and I don't plan on dating or being with someone for the rest of my life. If it does happen, hey, great. But as far as I don't care. Because you know what, this is amazing here, and you can have that too. You have to remember, when we're trying to figure out who we are in the form of intention, you got to cut off all the things you think and expect that you want in life. If you think that you're without because you don't have something, because life told you that you don't have it, well, then you're creating this chaos. You're manifesting every single day, I'm without, I need love, I need balance, I need to be accepted, I need to be liked. And you're creating this constantly. That's your real intention. You have to change that around, become more realistic, because if we're going to sit there and we'll say, well, I'm not going to, I'm going to get married to this rich guy or girl and I'm going to live in a big house, and that's your happiness, then that's selfish, because that means the only way you're going to be happy is if you marry someone who's rich, a guy or girl, and you live in a big house and you have fancy cars and stuff. If that's your idea of happiness, well, you can intend all you want and you can manifest all that materialism all you want, but you're never going to find happiness. You won't. You may think you're happy, and trust me, I have, over the past 20 years, I have been on boats, yachts, helicopters. I have been in limousines. I have hung out with some of the richest people in the United States here, all over the place, especially here down in South Florida. I used to go on yachts with helicopters that would land on parties and let me tell you something. They were never happy. Never happy. Never. I've never met one person who had a ton of money like that and was truly happy. They were always, their wives and husbands were talking behind each other's backs all the time, cheating on each other. It was all about drugs and sex, and there's nothing wrong with sex, but it was always this idea that in order, because they were trying to get their basis was materialized, and so they were focused on that. I was like, well, what about this thing? Well, no, my intention was I needed to go out and do this. I needed to get out and do this, and it never really happened. And I felt bad for them. I did, not in a pity way, but in a sympathetic and an empathetic way. I felt bad for them. I said, wow, these people, but we all go through that. But these people have to learn to find themselves. And that's basically what we're trying to do with intention. We're trying to find who we are. Most of us were taught selfishly because it feels like a dog-eat-dog world, right? We're either the big dog on the totem pole or we're the tiny little chihuahua on the totem pole. So we always want to be the big Rottweiler and that the king of the mountain, and it just doesn't work like that. We got to become unselfish with our thoughts. And that starts with you. If you want to be happy, if you want to truly create a world that you really want, a manifestation of whatever it is you really want, and you really want to create things that aren't materialistic, then you need to start doing that. You need to stop detached from being selfish. You need to stop making everything about you. Go out and start making it happen. Go out and help the homeless. Go out and help people that are disabled. Go out and help the animals. Go out and help people. Why do you think we do what we do with the homeless? It's not about making money for us, because trust me, if anything, it costs us so much money to do that stuff, the homeless. That's why we ask for your donations, but it comes out of our pockets. And I'm glad to do it, because people need help. People need that stuff. And my intentions are, I want everyone to know that there's help out there. That's my intention. It's not, hey, Miss Raina is doing this great, wonderful thing. I don't care about that. I don't care about the thanks and the praises and all that. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is those people on the streets, that they know that there's help out there, that someone cares about them. Because every person in this world, just like you, deserves love, they deserve compassion, and they deserve understanding, and they deserve to be happy. Hey, so many of us have tough breaks in life. And if you think that you're not going to have a life where you're homeless and have mental illness and physical disabilities, guess what? If you're one of those that reject all like homeless people and think, oh, they're just going to use it on drugs, and you just don't ever want to help people and it's not bothering you, haven't had that life yet, because you have no empathy for people who have struggled yet. And so one of these lifetimes, guess what's going to happen? We're going to have a lifetime, and no, it's not karma. We're actually going to do a video on this this week on these ideas. But no, like, you're going to have a lifetime where you're going to suffer, so that you understand what it's like to be in those positions, so that you can learn empathy, that you can learn love, you can learn compassion for people who truly struggle. And until you learn that, you're going to be selfish, you're going to be chaotic, you're always going to be chasing this idea that I have to be the best, that I have to be this, because you know what, people who are the best, they know it. They don't have to prove it to anybody. We don't have to sit there and acknowledge it. I love myself, and the people that love themselves, they know that. They know these things. They go out and selflessly do what they have to do in order for them to change the world. And that's true intention. That's intention at its best right there. So, all right, guys, Nira is bothering me. I don't know what she wants. It's probably time to pet her. So she's probably saying, Miss Raina, Mommy, it's time to go. So yes, it is time to go. So guys, I'm going to look over the notes, because we didn't even cover a quarter of the notes, as always. But we're probably going to do part 2 this week. I don't know yet. I have no clue. So, but anyway, stay tuned for that. Please follow our Facebook, as always, facebook.com/Transcendental Transformation. And our YouTube is Transcendental Transformation Radio Show. Visit our website, soulandspiritguide.com. Sign up for the newsletter to receive special hidden shows, VIP access to the website, and special guest offers. Guys, if you have any questions, email me at transcendentaltransformations@gmail.com. And one of the things I do want to say before we go, if you enjoyed tonight's show or any of the shows, please, if you can think of someone that will benefit from these shows, please pass on the show. The only way that this show grows and helps people, because that's the intention of the show. And of course, we need to, but the true intention of these shows are to help people, and especially for people who can't afford to work with me or live long, far away and don't maybe have access to internet and everything. But these shows are there to help people. So if you enjoyed tonight's show or any of them, please pass on the show to people that you think that need it and everything, and try to have them join, because there's a lot of people out there. It's nice to say, oh, well, I like that show, and then forget about it. But if you're not helping others and paying it forward and passing it on, then we're not really doing our job and getting the word out. So please, I ask you kindly to pass on the show, to pass on the individual shows or all of them together. And our goal is to reach as many people as possible. So, all right, guys, with that being said, always remember to believe in yourself, and it's not our abilities or our talents that make us who we are, but it is our choices. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.